Welcome back everyone, Zaf here. For today's video I have prepared for you the ultimate build guide in Legend of Slime. As you can see, we're now on Extreme 3, Stage 3-7, the highest stage we've ever hit, and that was all thanks to the optimizations I've made in this build, so get ready for an information dump on what the best build is to run. And don't you worry, I'll be sure to review with you both the free-to-play and pay-to-win options in this build. I'll be sure to give you a bunch of tips that you could use. Also, I wanted to start a giveaway early. We are so close to the 25,000 subscriber mark. I'll be giving away 3 gift cards, that being to the Google Play Store and Apple App Store if you're choosing. They'll be for $50 each, so 3 winners for those. All you have to do to enter is make sure you are subscribed to the channel, have the notification bell on for updates, be sure to drop a like and comment down below to enter, so once we do hit the 25,000 subscriber milestone, you won't miss out on if you've won. And just as an added bonus to those of you who do tune in to all the videos posted on our channel, I will also count comments on the next video I upload as additional entries, which is on a new game I've been playing called Zone 0, so don't forget to turn on that notification bell so you don't miss out on more giveaway entries when that video is uploaded. Now let's go ahead and start this build guide, but real quick, if you have yet to unlock Lovecat, be sure to drop down your referral code, that way it does get used. If you are subscribed, I'll be sure to pin your comment to the top, that way everyone sees your code and it gets used quickly. Now I'm trying to decide what we should start with. I think the best option is astrology, since that is where a lot of our synergies do come from. So I will be starting with each node. For the novice node, everyone should be running the following. For our slime node, I did find this to be the most optimal for me, but really these don't matter too much, since it's likely that you won't be using any of these slimes, and regardless, if you are using Gent, this would be the only node he really benefits from, so just use what you see here. Next up, for the Gentle Cat node, this is very important, so make sure you do pay attention. 2 of the most important nodes are located here. The first one being the Gentle Cat Zeta node. You want your Mythic Frog located here, but also some other options would either be using the Genie or Ebony. That is just dependent on whether or not your frog will do the most damage with Frog Vase, which I'll cover shortly. So just note these 2 options, both of them would work, but Mythic Frog is the best option for this one. The other most important node here is the Gentle Cat Edda. This one is very important to put your exotic frog on. That is, if you have an exotic frog. If you don't worry. You can put any of your other exotic companions here, but they might not still be optimal for you. The frog located here with the cat tag is extremely important, and the reason for that is, if you take a look at the top, you can see the Gentle Cat bonus, which does provide 50% attack per cat companion added, and that does make a difference for our damage. Let me see if I can quickly swap here. You can see our damage does fluctuate when I switch between the 2 companions, so having the 2 frogs as cats does provide a benefit, alongside some other ones which I'll mention shortly. For your S astrology constellation, you can copy the setting I have here. For Exhausted Worker as well, you want to make sure you have Miner located here. Miner has the only astrology node that does provide him a boost to his slime skill damage, so make sure you do have this one, and then you can just copy the rest that I have here. For the Bluebird astrology constellation, this is the best layout that I've found. We do leave this one empty, it doesn't really matter too much, but for the rest, this is what you want. You want your bird companions in the following order, that is if they are all the same level, but you do want to make sure you have your highest leveled mythic companion on this node, then following this node, and then this node for your 3rd weakest bird companion that can be put on the node. So make sure you do follow that order. This is because you want the equipped companion owned effect bonus to apply to your strongest companion. As you can see, the legendary node does provide the highest bonus, so do check and put your companions on it accordingly. For your Swift Bird constellation, this is the best layout. We really don't use the Swift Bird Zeta node here. It isn't too useful, so don't worry. Since the only exotic companion we use already has a node, it doesn't matter what you put here, since the bird tag won't be useful, but I'll cover more on that later. And as for the rest of your companions, if you don't have Bogey but you do have the Eagle, you can just put that on this node instead. Again, a lot of things will be dependent on the build and unlocks you do have, so make sure you do accommodate for yourselves. And another very important astrology node here is in Rainy Day. You do want your legendary snail on this node, so it does get the frog tag, because the frog tag is a very large bonus to our damage because of frog vase, so do make sure you equip your strongest snail on this node. As for your other nodes, just copy this accordingly. No tricks here, you can just copy what I have. And lastly, for Fury, you can just copy the following nodes. There's not much variation you can do here, so do make sure you just have the nodes occupied. Alright, with astrology completed, I just wanted to quickly jump into magic items. I won't be reviewing them individually. I do have a separate guide out for magic items. You can check that out if you want to, but this is the most optimal magic item loadout for pay-to-win players. For free-to-play, I do recommend you check out the video I have uploaded. That way you do get a better sense of which magic items to use. And I'll have the link to that video and a bunch of other videos you can use in the description and comment box below. Now we're going to hop into our treasures. We're going to start with our dolls, and the slime doll is the best one you can use. That is because Slimy Press is a skill we use now, regardless of having Furry unlocked. We're going to use this doll because Slimy Press is a very strong skill, and I'll highlight that shortly. For your crown, we always use Sun Crown. I know it does say on the top you have to add 3 or more bats, but that just applies to the Battlesphere option. The flat attack bonus is applied regardless of having bats or not, so make sure you do use this crown. For our vase, we're always going to use Frog Vase. It is such a strong bonus. As you can see, me switching around causes our attack to drop by half, so Frog Vase is one of the strongest items we can use. And it does help that we have so many frogs equipped. More on that shortly. For our plant, we do use flexible bamboo. I find that the other options don't provide any bonus at all. We do need HP in this game and lots of it, so the 600% HP bonus that it does provide is one of the best options out there. And speaking of best options, gold bread is the golden choice. The bonus it provides to our time limit is essential, but if you do find you're dying right away to stage bosses, obviously gold bread isn't going to be very useful for you. In that case, you can use Lotus Macaroon, or you could try Explosive Taco, but I do think Lotus Macaroon will be the better option, especially if you're running frogs we have in this build. And on that note, going back to our plants, if you do find yourselves dying, even if you have flexible bamboo equipped, you can just switch to ancient bonsai to get that reaper bonus. That way you do at least squeeze in a bit more damage. And lastly, for our armor, we are going to use Dwarf King armor. It is the best option here. The other armors don't really provide much of a benefit, so do make sure you equip it. As you can see, it does provide a very nice boost, just like Frog Vase did, so this is our number one option. Now we're going to jump into our relics. Slime Mucin is such a good option. The other bottle relics here just don't provide any utility. The movement speed reduction to enemies that Slime Mucin does provide is essential for survivability, and I will highlight that shortly, so do stay tuned. For our gem, we do use Opal. That is because it does provide a big boost to Slimy Press, making it fall 12 times more, which does provide a very substantial damage boost, which again I will be showing you shortly. Now the next option here will be a very peculiar one. Cat figurine is what we're choosing here. I know we've been used to choosing Sparrow figurine for the longest time, but since Gent is no longer the meta, and the new skill damage meta is here, Sparrow figurine is no longer useful. Even Slime figurine isn't the best here, but I would switch between both Cat figurine and Slime figurine depending on where you are in the game. In various instances, Slime figurine will be better for you, but if you're in the late game stage, Cat figurine will be the number one option here. Now, cushions was an easy choice. Regal Pillow is the best here. Because of that cooldown reduction, our skills actually do a lot of damage now. That is because of the new trait meta, which I'll highlight later in this video, so do run Regal Pillow. I don't believe the other pillows will really provide much of a benefit. We no longer use chicken, so this is useless. Magic coins won't provide any of a benefit. and Hot Seat is basically useless considering the slime we do use, so do go with Regal Pillow. Now, the most obvious choice here is Sacred Necklace for the necklace slot. We need so much HP in the game right now because all we get is damage nowadays, so do make sure you run Sacred Necklace. But if for some reason you're dying in one shot, you can use Pearl Necklace and equip Evil Spirit. That way you can squeeze out maybe some more damage, but I'm sure in most cases, Sacred Necklace will be the go-to choice. Now, when it comes to masks, don't skip because I want to show you a very interesting trick. In this trick, which I'll highlight very shortly, we're going to do something you might not have been aware of. We start the match out with Kitsune Mask, and then as the stage boss approaches and starts to attack us, we do quickly switch to Folksy Mask. That way we do get the benefit of both masks, we do get the attack bonus that Kitsune Mask provides, and then once the stage boss does reach us, we quickly switch to Folksy Mask. That way we don't die right away, so we do get a short-term benefit from Kitsune Mask, and then the survivability of Folksy Mask, making this a very great tip that you should be using if you weren't already aware. And if you are wondering, Folksy Mask is much better than Slime Mask, so don't worry about using either or. You can try both, but Folksy Mask is always the better option. And yes, Birdie Mask is no longer the meta, so no need to equip that. Just stick with Folksy Mask and you'll be sure to survive much longer, and then doing the Kitsune Mask trick to get a bit more damage. And lastly, we have Tome of Disorder. I don't need to go into too much details here. Basically, use this book. You can see it provides so much damage, and equipping it is detrimental to our overall damage sources, so do make sure you equip this book. If you don't have it equipped, I suggest doing it right away. Now, for our traits, it's very straightforward. You want 4 orange traits and either 1 blue or purple trait. That is because Vampire and Ghost basically provide a very similar result, Vampire recovering HP and Ghost providing additional HP and evasion. I would just stick to whatever one you get. I am Team Purple, but I did just stick with blue since that's what I got. And for your traits, you want to go for 3 attack and 2 skill attack traits. That is the best option you can do, since you can see here that our skill damage gets boosted by an insane amount between your traits and your talismans, so make sure you do run this combination. I don't think it matters where you are in the game. As you slowly progress and unlock your talismans to the legendary mark, your traits will be amplified by this talisman that does provide a skill damage boost, so make sure you are aware of the new meta and that you stick to it. And really quick, I did want to go over a very neat trick for masteries. If you find you're lacking EXP shards, this will be very useful for you. If you aren't doing it already, I reset my masteries because I want to show you something. And let's pretend I had this node, and this node maxed, but I wanted to go ahead and level up some slimes. What you could do is reset for 10 gems your mastery points, and then use them all on the EXP node you see here. That way you do get 2 times the value of your EXP shards, and then once you do use them, you've leveled up your slimes. You can just go ahead and reset again, level your nodes up back to normal, and then that way you did get a bonus from the EXP node without having to keep it, because the reset of 10 gems is so little for the benefit it would provide. So make sure if you weren't using this trick to do so right now. I did use it back when I didn't have this node unlocked. This would apply for the lower levels as well, since they did have an EXP node, so I wanted to make sure everyone was aware of that. Now next up, let's jump to our skills. The most optimal loadout here is Irradiating Comet, Warrior Breaker, Dark Clouds, and the reason why we're using Dark Clouds is because of the astrology bonus that Rainy Day does provide. Our Frog Companions get a 300% attack boost with Dark Clouds equipped, so this is the best option for our skills. And continuing on, we do use Slimy Press. It is one of the strongest skills in the game right now that is very surprising, but once you do try it out, you'll notice a definite damage gain if you use the other relics and treasures that I mentioned, and that is of course with the trait meta that I outlined. And lastly, I do run Blizzard. and that is because I do have a Blizzard ring. If you don't have a Blizzard ring, you don't need to run Blizzard. I did find that having less skills actually resulted in more damage. That's why my final skill slot is empty. Yes, even using Rage or any other exotic skill, including the legendaries that we do have, provided me less damage, so this was the optimal loadout. Now, if you do have a Bird Strike ring, you can use Bird Strike. That goes for any legendary or epic rings they do have that provide a boost to those skills, minus Meteor Swarm. If you don't have any exotic or mythic skills, you can use Terrify, Pyrokinesis, Detonative Slime. These are all very strong skills to use, and if you're that early on into the game, Rage will probably be a very good option as well, so make sure you do run those options for your skills if you're lacking any mythics or exotics. Now, when it comes to your gear for weapons and shields, just use the one that has the little red dot at the top. That is your best option. And for toys, I do have a dedicated video out. Please make sure you don't run a critical damage toy anymore. The optimal toy would be as follows: having companion damage, boss damage, and for your last attribute, it doesn't matter too much, just make sure you do have companion damage and boss damage. That is because if we look at our slime stats, we have 2.2 billion critical damage. That is because of magic items, and toys fail to provide a multiplicative bonus to our crit. They just provide a base amount to the top, which is completely negligible. You wouldn't notice the crit bonus from toys. That's why we no longer run it. And speaking of attributes, for your ring, you do want companion damage and boss damage. Running an S-class ring, that is the current best option, because if we look at our slime stats, you can see our companion damage and boss damage evens out. That is because I made sure that happens, because keeping them even makes sure you deal the most amount of damage. Having one higher than the other will just result in lower damage, so do make sure you follow that criteria. Getting the attributes to make sure your companion damage and boss damage is equal. We no longer go for skill damage because our skill damage is now so high. Adding amounts to that from our ring won't provide any real bonuses, so do make sure you remember that. Now, next up, I wanted to cover companions. This will be a tough one. The best loadout is what I have on the screen here. We have our Steel Frog, that is both a cat and a frog, so it does get the bonuses from both, and that is why we're using the cat figurine, because our frogs are able to proc that. I use Toad as well because it does provide the flat bonus from Frog Vase. The same goes for Prince. I did try out using our other companions, such as Bogey and our level 100 Genie, but they did fail to come out ahead. This was the best loadout I was able to do, and you can see our snail here. It is a frog and a snail, again giving us a very large bonus from Frog Vase. You can see from us unequipping our snail that it does provide a 10% bonus, so make sure you do use that trick to get the most out of your damage. And lastly, of course, we have our Ice Frog, which is both a cat and a frog, again providing us that bonus from the Gentle Cat Astrology constellation. Since you can see as we take off our frog, we actually do lose a decent amount of damage, which is why we do choose it. Now, if you are a free-to-play player, I'm not sure if this will be the most optimal for you. You can try running all frogs and a snail. I can tell you that using a snail is probably one of your best options because of Slime Mucin, as I mentioned earlier. You can either try running birds instead and using Birdie Mask for that bonus. I'm not sure if that'll be the best option, but I do recommend playing around with it. If you are pay to win and you have a very high level Genie and your Ice Frog isn't max level yet, you can replace your frog with the Genie on the cat node. That way the Genie does become a cat getting the bonus. So I do recommend you play around with your companions. It's really hard to say what's best because everyone's levels are different, so this is the one aspect that I do recommend you play around with so you do get the best result possible. And one thing I did want to mention here is that Warrior Breaker is so vital in the game right now. The recovery it does provide is absolutely monumental. Let me just jump into a stage boss battle. I'm going to turn off our skills and watch as the stage boss slowly approaches. Again, it's approaching very slowly, that being due to Slime Mucin, that is from our snail providing the relic bonus. You can see we're dying, but if I activate Warrior Breaker, we survive much longer In fact, without Warrior Breaker, I don't think we could have survived, so that is why we do run it. And because the Radiant Comet does provide a skill cooldown reset to Warrior Breaker, it makes it all the more better. I know a lot of you do have a Radiant Comet leveled up just from purchasing packages. Even if it is level 1, I do recommend you do run the skill because it is such a high utility skill. Now, I'm just quickly trying to remember if I forgot anything. I believe I did cover the basics of this build. Again, for magic items, I do recommend you check out our dedicated video, since that would provide a much better outline, since using the magic items you see here will likely not be the best for you. So I do really recommend you check that out. I do also have a dedicated free-to-play account, so I'll try to do a future build guide video using that account as well. That way we do get a better sense of what to use. Oh, and I should probably mention that the best slimes you can equip right now are Miner, and then Rudolph in that order, and then you can stick to using slimes like Gent. He is, I believe, the third best slime right now, which is very surprising because we've been so used to having him on the top. So if you're running the new skill trait meta, Miner is currently the best slime, and I believe Rudolph comes right after him. And yeah, that looks like it was it for our ultimate build guide in Legend of Slime. I really hope you enjoyed. This video certainly did take a while to make with all the testing, so it would be much appreciated if you dropped a like. Make sure you do subscribe as well if you want more Legend of Slime content like this, and do stay tuned for the giveaway that we do have coming out shortly. If you have any questions at all, just drop a comment and I'll try my best to answer you. And again, I do hope you enjoyed. Zaf signing out.